Streetboarding dreams, future and past. Here in the present, it's DRGNCAST.
Welcome, people, to episode 14 of DRGNCAST. And boy, have we got a guest lined up for you today. If there's someone in the world that, that influenced my youth in such a huge way, I mean, it's this guy. And it's not just from the snakeboarding aspect, it's something from music, culturally as well. Being a little kid, looking up, and it really shaped a lot of my life. So I'm blessed, I feel, to be having him on DRGNCAST today. How you doing, Sam?
Man, I was a little bit scared of this guy, and I'm a little bit nervous about doing the cast tonight, man. I've got to tell you, because what you got to understand is, in 96, 97, 98, I lived in like a small town in like rural Devon, and this was before the internet, man. We didn't know shit. We saw like Disturbed and Hellburger, and there were these guys like beating the shit out of each other, like skating gnarly pools, fucking stitching up their own wounds. There's all this like crazy shit going on, and I don't know, man. I want to know the dirt, man.
Me too.
I want to know.
It's all about the dirt. Well, let's.
I want to know if the legend lives up to like my little kind of.
Well, radio dispatch
back in the day. I want to know.
Do you know who this is? Nah, man. Who is this?
I want to know what kind of drugs you need to do the first backside 720 on a snakeboard.
It's Mr. Kelly Dean, the one that only Trout, Hellburger, the whole snakeboard scene. How you doing, Kelly? Welcome on board.
Good, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no, we're psyched about this. I mean, I guess because, like, for me, you were snakeboarding forever. Like when I started in the sport, like, how did you start snakeboarding back in the day, and what year was it?
Oh man, I guess it was probably like 90-ish, 1990.
Yeah.
And I was, diehard skateboarder. Skateboarding's always been my number one sport. And Ray Moore, who was Snakeboard USA, the main owner, he ran the tennis competition there at the Hyatt Grand Champions. And my mom worked there, and he heard that I skateboarded through the grapevine. And so he just approached me and said, "Hey, will you try to learn this new board? I heard you're a good skateboarder. Give this thing a try. See if you, tell me, if you like it, what you think about it." So that's kind of how it all started for me. And I was kind of against it in the beginning because, I was just, skateboarding was my life and that's all I wanted to do. So they gave me a few boards, and I didn't really like learning at first. I was just like, what is this, stupid little toy that this old guy is giving me? But, I did learn it, and it was quite fun. Like the whole tick-tacking and carving thing that I dug. And, that's how it all started. I didn't really even show too much interest in it in the beginning, because I just didn't really care about anything else but skateboarding. But Ray Moore had a lot of money, as a lot of people know, when snakeboarded first started. Probably too much money, and they blew it in the wrong areas. But they just, he kept throwing all this money at me, like, "Hey, what if I send you to Venice Beach for the weekend and just ride around? Just learn how to ride it." And they kept paying me to basically just ride around the streets and be seen on it. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Cool. How old were you back then?
I think I was like 15.
Yeah.
I would say probably 15. And I was a poor little kid. I didn't have anything really. I didn't really have even lunch money to eat at school. So obviously when you know, he's throwing money at me, hey, learn this thing, I'll give you some money, I'll pay you $100 a day to go ride around, you know, I was all about that. So that was kind of my initial drive, is just
Yeah.
get a little bit of cash on the side and cruise around.
Well,
So
I mean,
that's how it all started.
and then because you guys, like, I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like, you know, you and your whole crew, I guess. You said it was like a quite like a little toy kind of vibe and that. But like when I watch, you know, go back and then watch like Totally Committed and all of those early videos, Disturbed, etc. You guys definitely brought in more of a hardcore kind of vibe to the sport. Like, you completely flipped it around from what could have been seen as like a nerdy toy. Who was that who actually started off that whole kind of more of a hardcore, you know? And you guys were putting in the videos bands that changed my life, that were, you know, it wasn't your soft punk rock, it wasn't your soft pop punk, it was, you know, you were
Yeah.
looking at like Vegan Reich, you were looking at like Minor Threat. You introduced me to Minor Threat, which like has introduced me to
Oh yeah,
friends. Yeah. So how did you
that's
guys
awesome.
kind of get the chance to really like shape it in those early days?
Well, I was always a punk rock skateboarder, and I was way into the punk scene. I was playing drums at the time when I started. And, you know, I was trying to help out the company, trying to help out Ray more, because he's a genuinely nice guy. It's almost like became almost like my second father figure back in those days. And so I really genuinely wanted to help them and wanted to help him make this thing, you know, more popular. So I said, hey, you know, if you want people to take this seriously, then let's start doing some tricks on it. Like, and I was already skateboarding full time, so we had to come up with some strap techniques and a way to, you know, for your feet to be comfortable on the board and start doing jumps, and that's how it all, you know, the trick side of it all started from wanting to take the skateboarding tricks and move them onto the snakeboard.
Yeah.
And the whole punk thing is just kind of how it was something I was already doing. And I tried to bring that whole side of the fence over to the snakeboard side, which was really difficult because they weren't really into the, you know, thrash about and not give a fuck about what's going on and try to do these tricks. So they really wanted to be a toy, and I was like, no, we can't have this be a toy if you want people to take it seriously, is the bottom line.
Yeah. So sweet. Who was the main crew back then that you were riding with, like in those early days?
Well, it was kind of just me and my brother Jason Dean. You know, he rode quite a bit, and my brother John did as well. A couple neighborhood kids, but there really wasn't anyone else riding it. We kind of had the privilege of being able to first to take it to whatever the next level was. Like, I remember they sent Ashley down from South Africa to hang out a handful of times. And I mean, besides me and Ashley and, you know, a couple other kids, there wasn't really anyone doing it. So, I mean, it really was the very first stepping stone and the very start of it.
Cool, man. When was it that, you know, after that initial like small stage, that it started getting bigger? And then what did that look like? I guess you started to travel nationwide a little bit.
Yeah. You know, I just, you know, it was kind of hard to talk people into, my skateboard friends, into trying the snakeboard, because, you know, it was so plastic looking. The graphics were really cheesy. Everything was really cheesy, as you probably know, the first snakeboards.
Oh, yeah.
So people didn't, you know, it was hard people to gravitate towards snakeboard. And, you know, a lot of my skateboard friends made fun of me in the beginning. They talked a lot of smack. Huh?
Fuck those guys.
You know, yeah, I got a lot of flack from my.
Hey, you know what,
friends.
man? Like, I watched back a lot of old videos this evening before this, and like everyone back in the day, a lot of people looked so sketchy, man, so sketchy. But you were one of the guys that it looked solid when you skated, you know. You weren't twitching around, and you, I don't know, man. You made it easy to get into the sport, and before you injected all the stuff into the scene, it was all just kind of cheesy corporate shit. And
yeah, me and the owners and the main managers constantly butted heads because I was trying to make it into a real sport, which is something that they wanted, but they also wanted to sell it in Toys R Us and make it a toy, and try to make that money. So that's where the real, you know, backlashes came with me and the general managers. It's like a constant fight to try to make the board cooler, which they were constantly fighting me with that. You know, starting with the nose and a tail, and you know, the bar. I was like, you can't do slides. We need to make the bar wider. We need nose and tails to start doing tricks to, you know, generate that snowboard crowd and skateboard crowd into taking this thing seriously. But in the beginning, they were so focused on selling it as a toy, it really kind of shot themselves in the foot in the beginning.
so, were you involved in the design of the boards that came after, the very thin bars? So you're talking like the Skinner and the Splooge, Jamie? Splooge? Yeah, the Skinner and the Splooge. So it had a slightly wider bar. And maybe we can talk about where the names came from. So,
yeah, it's funny. Eli Bowman and I, you know, we did those videos and we came up with those names in the beginning, and we were all just basically fucking about with the names, tried to make some disgusting, stupid names, and they definitely bit on a couple of them. And as far as the wider bar and the nose and tail, you know, what I was trying to create was the boards that are out today, the street boards.
Yeah.
That was my goal from the very beginning, but it just costed too much money, and they weren't having it. They just fought me the whole time. So I kind of, after a while, gave up on trying to persuade them to make the board the way I wanted to. And so, you know, we compromised with the Splooge and the Skinner with a little bit wider bar and started the nose and tail. Yeah. So that's kind of how that came about, was trying to make it more like a skateboard so I could actually do some tricks on the thing.
You did some fucking tricks on the thing.
Yeah.
Do you think coming from skateboarding that helped you, or?
Definitely helped, you know, grinding the handrails and stuff. And snakeboarding definitely helped me with my skateboarding, because the bigger handrails I was kind of scared to do on my skateboard, I could do on my snakeboard, because I was strapped in. So the crossover really did help me progress my snowboarding and my skateboarding, and yeah, they all kind of helped each other out and helped me progress in many different areas.
Cool, man. So it got big for you at one point, right? You know, you were traveling a lot with Snakeboard USA, getting some money. And
I think that was one of the benefits of being one of the first, you know, and they had so much money and they were trying to push it. They sent me all over the place. It was quite amazing, and I felt definitely really lucky and privileged to be able to go all these places. They sent me to Europe multiple times, and South Africa and Argentina, and it was just, I was in awe of just all these places I got to go at such a young age, and to get paid to do it was truly a blessing to me.
Yeah, man. You mentioned South Africa, actually. Like, how was the scene there? Because that's where it came from. But where did all the, like, what happened there? It never seemed like it had a huge scene like the UK or Germany. Huh?
I'm really not sure. They sent me South Africa to skate in this snakeboard competition. Actually, Ingo was there as well. And it's kind of interesting. I was, I believe, 17, or because of my age, and I was a little bit younger than Ashley, I guess. I'm not even sure, but they put me in with the higher age pros, so I had to like enter the competition a step down, which is kind of unfair to the other riders, maybe. But the way they had it worked out, you know, they put me in the lower class, and then of course I won that competition because I wasn't in the upper class with, I believe, Ashley and Ingo and stuff. So it was kind of strange to me how that all went about and why they wanted me to go there. But I had a blast, and I've always had fun hanging out with Ashley because he's such a cool, mellow guy.
Yeah.
It was a trip. It was a trip going to South Africa. It was
Cool.
There was only a handful of riders there, so.
Yeah.
Is there any footage of Ashley Morgan riding? I've only ever seen one picture of him. He's like it's just like a myth, you know? Mythical being.
You know, he jumped so high in the beginning. Back then, we didn't have all the cameras and phone cameras and stuff, so it's definitely a shame that we don't have more footage of Ashley, really riding.
Pro. What was he doing back then? What kind of stuff?
I mean, he could just, he would jump over, the nets on a tennis court like, with ease before anyone could. So he could just jump really high, and he just had a smooth, laid back style, which I always dug. But yeah, I didn't get to hang out with him too much because he had to go back to South Africa, but it was always fun to have him around. It's a shame we don't have more footage of him.
No.
Yeah, you got his number, man? We should get him on, Jamie.
Yeah, he'll be a good one.
You guys should do, you guys should do the next one on Ashley, or think about doing it, because he truly is the first of the first besides me.
Yeah. He was way back. And also, I was just thinking, man, you just mentioned as well, Eli Bowman, because he filmed for some big skateboard videos as well. Didn't he film for The Storm and that? Tell us a bit about it.
Kelly was Kelly, you filmed for Osiris, right?
Osiris?
Right, yeah.
We met in Bristol, like at the height of the fucking that Osiris shit.
Yeah, I was a videographer for multiple skateboard companies. After the snakeboarding thing kind of died out, I just picked up the camera and kept shooting, mostly skateboarding. I shot for Osiris on the Aftermath tour back then, which is the biggest skateboard tour there was. It was a month across the US and then a month in Europe. And that's what I've been doing mostly ever since the snakeboarding thing kind of died down. I've just been shooting skateboarding mainly.
Cool.
You still do that?
Yeah, my equipment got stolen a few years back, and I haven't been able to do too much, but I have recently picked up a whole new camera equipment. So yeah, I've been still shooting.
That was I don't know if you remember, man, when you because I was living with Rick in Bristol. Do you remember when we hung out in your hotel room a little bit? No, you don't remember. Really. That's cool, man.
Well, I was in Bristol a few times.
Yeah, now it was a trip for me because, like, I saw snakeboarding and skateboarding as kind of one and the same thing, and now I see it as kind of a separate thing. But back then, it was like the height of like that fucking Osiris team fame, and like Josh Casper was just standing right there, and I was just going, I don't know fucking what to say, man. And but
it was really cool to hang out with all those pros.
Yeah, the dude wore sunglasses in the club, though. That's all I'm saying. Hindsight, in the club.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa.
A lot of interesting personalities, to say the least.
No, man.
What I'm
Yeah.
really interested in, man, is the Team Shamrock days. That seemed that's what kind of captured my imagination back in the day. You mentioned Eli Bowman. I had this like kind of ringing thing from some video, either Hellberger or Disturbed, and it's like, let him up, Eli, let him up. And he got the big like
when they boxing.
Yeah, and I was like, these guys are fucking gnarly. What's going on? It's like you seem like you got a lot of your family and friends back into it back in the day, you know?
Well, I grew up in Palm Desert,
Yeah.
and I grew up with Eli in Palm Desert. When he graduated, he went to graphic design school. And when he finished, I brought him into the snakeboard world because they needed help doing the small magazine Trout. I don't know if you guys seen
we know about it. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Kelly, man, I don't know if you realize, but you like birthed us.
Yeah.
You know, it's all a blur to me, man. We were so fucking out of control.
Was Trout something paid? Was Trout paid for by Snakeboard? Is that were they giving you the money to do that, or you? Okay, cool.
No, I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Snakeboard wanted us to do a small magazine. Eli just finished graphic design school, so I was like, "Hey, hire this guy." Eli came aboard, and both of us pretty much did all the Trout magazines, and we did all the videos.
Yeah.
Like, they gave us the camera. We went out and did 90% of the editing and the music. We were just trying to make it as cool and as hard as possible.
Yeah. And
the Team Shamrock thing, Ray Moore wanted me to start a team.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know, I'm the whitey Irish boy. So I was like, let's do Team Shamrock. It's cool. And we started the small team, and we had our little group, and we do our little cheesy competition appearances, and which there was only, you know, there was Brandex, Ventura with Jay Beatty and all them. And then there was Team Shamrock, and then a few teams in between that came about. But,
was there ever any beef between Team Shamrock and Team X?
Was there like a rivalry?
Kind of a little bit. You know, I don't know why, I guess.
Well, they had, you had the two brothers, you had you and Jason, and they had Rob and Pete.
No, they were East Coast. Rob and Pete were East Coast, weren't they?
Yeah, Rob and Pete kind of came a little bit after. It was kind of the Jay Beatties, him and his brothers. He had three brothers. Well, three of them. I had my two brothers. But my brother John rode for a while, but he didn't really compete. Jason competed a little bit, and then I competed as much as I could. And it was always Jay Beatty and I. We were always battling to get that first place spot, which he would win sometimes, I would win sometimes. It's kind of back and forth. And they had a little bit of grudge toward us, but it was all fun and games in the end. We didn't really take it too seriously.
I think I remember something in Trout that was felt like, I can't remember, there was just one bit where you guys wrote something about, I don't know, the nerdy Brand X guys or some shit that in our minds, it was like the biggest beef in the world. And it was like,
there was no internet back then, but no internet.
Yeah.
So what was with the brothers thing though? There was always brothers snakeboarding. So it was like the Kelly, the Deans, the Merstigs, the Nyes, the
as well.
It's the Rodriguez, I swear.
Oh yeah, the Victor Rodriguez.
And he had a brother, right? That skated.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like we tried to bring our brothers into it, our friends into it. We tried to bring anyone close into the snakeboard world because it was fun and we were all traveling and partying, and we're like, you know, we tried to just bring in anyone we could to make it bigger.
So, like Ray Moore sounds like an interesting character, and he sounds like someone that wanted you to, gave you the freedom to impart your own shit on snakeboarding.
Yeah, Ray really wanted the sport to take off, but because there was just so much money in the beginning. I don't know where they got it or if he put his own
Well,
money
who the
into
fuck
it,
was
but
this guy? Who is Raymond?
Yeah, yeah.
he was an old tennis pro
Yeah.
back in like the 70s. So he made most of his money then. He was a rich guy. So I guess that's where that connection is.
Mhm.
When he lived in the Palm Desert, he ran one of the biggest tennis tournaments in the world out there at the Hyatt Grand Champions. So Snakeboard was just a side little toy project for him, but he really wanted to push it and make some obviously money off it. And he threw in like, I don't know, I guess millions of dollars in the beginning to really give it that push into the real market. But he made a lot of mistakes on the way, and I tried to help him.
Yeah.
But
Is he,
I
is
could
he
only
still
do so
around?
much.
Is he still around?
Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah. Is he still rich?
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you talk to him ever, or you just lost?
Well, yeah, did you ever chat to the guy?
No,
Can I have his
I
number?
was thinking about that the other day.
Is he on Instagram? Is he on the gram?
He must be about 75 years old now. Like
Yeah.
back in the snake days,
That's a nipper, mate. That's a nipper. Don't worry about that.
he's probably super old now.
Yeah, he probably
But
takes care of himself though.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to him. I was thinking about it the other day. I need to go find out where he is and go say hi.
You guys
He
actually
was the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. So
Yeah. Did he get wild with you guys at like the ASR, all those big shows that you did, like the trade shows?
he would hang out a little bit, but you know, he had other managers trying to keep us all together and not
Yeah.
lose control. Because you know, back in those days, we were partying hard and not giving a fuck. So it was just, it was controlled chaos somewhat.
Yeah.
But
What was your best trip? The best trip you did through snakeboarding back in those days? Because you did South America, you did all over.
what was the best trip?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. That's tough to tell. I loved the World Championships. Was always fun.
Yeah.
And is that Bristol or England? I forget
London
exactly where.
96.
It was London, right? 96. Yeah, I read that. You know, Ian Calvert and I, we tied for second place.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most memorable ones because the after party, I don't know. I can't remember who was there because I remember the after party. Some guy was passing around a joint, and there was all the Bud Light or Nick. What was it? We had a beer sponsor at the after party, and everyone was just getting toasted.
Yeah.
I think Rob and I actually like got laid on the dance floor in the middle, in front of everybody.
Oh, geez.
I remember him in the center of the floor, sitting on a chair, and this girl had him straddled. And I don't know if she pulled down his pants or what, but I swear he got laid right there in front of everybody. Afterwards, he was just like done.
We're gonna have to get.
I think a lot of people got laid that night, but I think Rob did it in front of everybody, kind of secretly.
Yeah. Oh man, how was it going to like Brazil and that back in those days, or like down to South America? Because that was like pretty wild at that young age.
That was probably some of the best times, as well as going to Argentina. I went with Pete and we did some demo shows down there in Argentina. In Argentina Snakeboard, they were just the coolest guys ever. They treated us like rock stars the whole time, took us out to dinner, took us to these race car tracks, like took us to a model show. Like some of the girls were like top models down there. So we were hanging out with beautiful women, going to the best restaurants. That was probably the most memorable time, and the most fun I had was probably Argentina. Brazil was cool, but the guy down there running the show was kind of mental,
Yeah.
and he was just unorganized. You know, he lived in a crap part of the town in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where there's like hookers on the corners and transvestites with the tits hanging out, and we were just, you know, kind of young kids, like, you know, what's going on here? What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
You should go back now. You should go back now. That sounds all right to me.
I would now. Shit. It was cool. Argentina was probably the most memorable and probably the best time we had. Those guys were cool.
You hang out with Diego and Diego Romero.
And people.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was fun. Good times.
So the last Worlds were like official snakeboard one was the one in Orlando. Am I right? The one in '97, I think. And then it will kind of petered out
At
after
the
that.
Universal Studios.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was a trip. That was a
Yeah,
trippy ass World Championships, right in the middle of Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Jumping over the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, man. How did it all go downhill after that? What was the demise of it? Like, because it all happened pretty suddenly.
You know, it's confusing even to me, because apparently there was some bushing manufacturer defects that was supposed, like $1 million worth of boards or 2 million was supposed to be sent to Germany. I could be wrong, but this is what I got out of it, is that they made all these boards. They had a small defect. I believe Germany didn't want to pay for all these boards that had some sort of defect. And that created the downfall of Snakeboard USA. They had all these products that were defected, and they put millions of dollars into it, and when they didn't want it, they couldn't. The sale didn't go through, so that was, I believe, the beginning of the end as far as their money.
Yeah.
And Snakeboard USA got audited a bunch, and it's tough to tell when it really started, but from what I believe, that's what happened. Is this small bushing defect that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. I have a question.
Hang on. Let's summarize that. So a tiny defect in the bushing, like the fucking suspension, right, of the trucks.
You know how they were crap?
That was defective, and so people didn't want to buy the product, and that made the company go bust. Well,
from what I understand, is that there was a big sale going to Germany. Germany purchased all these boards, but then there was some sort of bushing defect. And right before it was about to go through, they're like, no, we're not going to buy all these boards because they're defective. And to fix that problem just cost too much money. And I think that just started.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. The little like a manufacturing fuck up caused the decline of the scene that I invested so fucking much into for like years, fucking years of my life.
I'm gonna hunt down Ray Moore and I'm gonna ask him what.
Get Ray Moore on the phone, man.
Let's get him on the phone now, because from what I understand, it was something like that. Some $1 million deal to Germany didn't go down because of the defect, and then it just fucked everything up, and they couldn't like come back from it because there was too much money dumped into it. That was my understanding. Could be wrong, but I believe that's what started it.
Well, I had my fucking heart and soul on the line, man.
Still do, man. Still do. 28 years later since we started, and still here. I actually had a question from Brenton. He was like, what happened to the warehouse after, and the mini ramp and the vert ramp in the warehouse?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the coolest things Snakeboard did. They spent a shit ton of money to build these ramps in this warehouse. So that they came to me and they asked me, what ramps do you want? And so we built a 7-foot by like 32-foot wide, and then right next to it, 11-foot vert ramp, which was like, I don't know, 40-something foot wide, and the mega mini jump.
Yeah.
They covered it with all sheet metal. It was all painted sheet metal. It wasn't masonite. It was long, 12-foot sheets of metal on that.
Would these ramps be in any of the old videos at all?
I guess, I don't think there is actually, and I really don't know why.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know. I think it was kind of after that, and we never really put out any video after that, so we didn't really have, I don't think there's really any footage of it. But these ramps, they got like the best ramp builder here in Southern California to come make them. And they must have spent, I don't even know how much, like easily $100 grand or somewhere around that. These ramps were freaking perfect. And it was a blessing to have it. He just handed me a key and said, skate it whenever you want.
Fuck.
We'd go to the warehouse and party and skate, and those ramps were so nice.
What sort of year was this then?
Man, I can't even remember last week, much less 30 years ago. I don't know.
Was it towards the end of when Snakeboard started to take a turn to the downhill?
It was definitely towards the end, because once it kind of ended, they had to shut down the warehouse and take down the ramps. So yeah, it was at the very end when they had to close that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I miss those ramps, man. Those things were so perfect.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, it's a shame.
So you just stopped snakeboarding when the whole thing shut down and you weren't getting any more money out of it? Because you always like you've said the whole time that it was like your secondary thing. You liked surfing, you liked skateboarding.
Yeah,
but
skateboarding.
Like you were so talented on it, man. Yeah. You were so ahead of the game with your trips in fucking Disturbed, Hellburger, Limp Bizkit? No.
Air Biscuit.
Air Biscuit.
That's cool that everyone.
But it's amazing to me that you were just doing it, fucking around,
Yeah, and that's really what it was back then. They used to, they would send me to all these places to snakeboard, and I would really just skateboard. And I used to get in constant fights with the owner. Like, we're not paying all this money to freaking go skateboard. You got to ride the snakeboard.
Yeah.
I truly did enjoy as time went on, and I started doing fun tricks on it. Yeah. But the boards were such crap.
Yeah.
That, if the boards would have been better sooner, I probably would have stuck with it more. But the boards were just such crap, and it was hard to like.
What do you think about the boards that are out at the moment? Like, have you seen any of the Dragon boards?
Yeah, I've been following you guys, the whole Dragon thing, and that's cool. Yeah. That's essentially what I was trying to make back then, is the Dragon boards today. Like, literally, that's what we were striving for, because I wanted to lock in Smith grinds and feeble grinds.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't do that and do board slides and stuff. And without that, it took a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah. But that reminds me, board slides though, how was it filming for Disturbed and Ingo came over? How was that, having him out there? Because he does that board slide on the skinny bar, like right at the end of his section.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty amazing well, even for today's standards. But yeah, back in the day, for him to do that board slide was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool having Ingo around. I was actually, I think, kind of homeless at the moment between places. I had a Snakeboard van that they gave me to do demos and stuff, and I was kind of living out of the van, and then Ingo came down, and all we did was cruise around and ride.
Yeah.
Which was awesome to have him down there. I took him to some of those big handrails, and a lot of that video came from when Ingo was down visiting me. And
So is this
we
Disturbed
actually,
you're talking about?
yeah, it's Disturbed. That was good times back then. I think that was the first time Ingo really got to grind.
Yeah, slides and grinds,
You know,
man.
the bigger
Slides and
handrails.
grinds.
Slides and grinds. Slides and grinds.
That's legendary.
Yeah, we had a blast, man.
Yeah.
That was fun. We were just young kids, just out of control, raging, partying, and
Yeah.
you know, I truly feel blessed to have that time on the board back then.
Yeah.
Sergi actually gave me a board about a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, I've had like serious wrist issues. My wrists, obviously from snakeboarding mainly, are just totally cashed in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have, you know, floating little fragments in my wrist. It hurts to like move my wrists at all these days.
Shit.
And I've had serious back arthritis issues. But I recently got some steroid shots in my back. So I've been in complete pain the past 2.5 years, like barely be able to like get out of bed kind of thing. But I got these steroid shots about 4 months ago in my back, and I've been like a completely new man. It took away all the pain. I went from not being able to crawl out of bed to having no pain in my back. So it's been kind of a miracle for me to go out and ride again without being freaking paralyzed or scared to do anything. So I've been skating a lot, actually. I skate about once or twice a week on my skateboard. But
will we ever see you back on a streetboard, on a snakeboard? How
I
much
don't
do
know,
we have to
man.
pay you? How much money? How many millions?
I think I'm too old, fat, and broken now to like do anything cool.
Oh, man, I don't believe
But
that.
Sergi pumps me up whenever he comes into town. You know, he gave me that last board, and you know, I wouldn't mind trying to ride again a little bit because you know, I did love it back then, and it did help my skateboarding as well. But it's been hard. You know, I'm a family guy now. I got 2 daughters, and I just, you know, I've been in pain up until these past 4 months. But I bought some those remake of those bushings. I forget who I bought them off of.
From that
someone
group.
that was, yeah, in the group. What's his name made the bushings. I actually ordered some and had them sent over.
Oh, sweet.
Put together my old, I don't know what it was, the Stiffy or whatever, my old board. So I just put that together, and then Sergi gave me his old street board. So, I mean, now that I'm not in agonizing pain every day, you know, I might play around on it here and there.
Cool.
But
well, we want to see some footage, man. I think everybody would go wild. Everybody would go.
You know,
I sense a little bit of like skateboarder shame. Don't worry about it. Give in to your snakeboard self, man. Give in to the wiggle, man. You love the wiggle. You love the fucking wiggle.
The old wiggle stick.
Dude, you're so good at it. You're so good at it, and you won't even try it. I love that. I love that you're like, this was just some shit that I was doing because I was getting some money, but you like so effortlessly nang, man, and like you fucking influenced me so much back in the day.
Truly amazing, and I'm just still shocked that people, you know, who I influenced or whatever, just seems like a dream world to me, because it was just literally playing around on this toy that I eventually, you know, did fall in love with, and I did actually love riding, or else I would have kept doing it. But like I said, the main thing that turned me off was the quality of the board. You know, if I would have had that street board back then, shit would be a whole different deal and a whole different game. And I tried my hardest to get them to make something like that, but they were just too concerned with money, and they kept fucking up. And it is really a damn shame, because they really had the money to do it, but they just did it in the wrong way and shot themselves in the face. But it's cool that you guys are still doing it and still promoting it. You know, I always check out everything you guys do, and it's you guys are keeping the dream alive. So to me, that's really special and cool.
Well, it's a passion, man, that you were a big part of starting, man. A big, you know, it's been a lifelong thing. And I think for our generation, it kind of just dropped off just as we were kind of really getting hooked. So we were like, let's just keep it going, man. And we took, you know, a leaf.
Because of that guy that fucked up the rubbers, the guy that fucked up the bushings, man, he sent it all downhill.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Do you think someone like fucking just entered like the wrong number in a computer? It could be down to like a decimal point or something, you know?
It is something.
Childhood, man.
Yeah, it was so weird how it was just all of a sudden done.
Yeah.
You know, everything was great, and then the next month they're like, we got to shut down everything because this sale didn't go through to Germany. This $1 million sale that just like snowballed into.
I remember calling Snakeboard UK to see when the next like competition was, and it was like, hello, MV Sports. And I was like, hey, when's the next snakeboard competition? It's like, no, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that's it. You know?
It did happen like that. It was just 1 month. It was just like cut and gone. It was really freaking strange, man. I still don't fully understand it to this day, but I'm gonna hunt down Ray more, and I'm gonna find out the real answer to that, because I've always wondered, you know, the details about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who want answers from you. So Ray, if you ever see this, we need the answers, man.
I know where Ray is. He still lives out there. I'm gonna hunt him down and have a chat.
Cool.
You got to beat him in a game of tennis first.
Yeah, I'll beat him in a game of tennis to get the real info.
Yeah, sweet. Cool, man. So, Kelly, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It really.
Thanks so much, man.
I have one last question, actually. I completely forgot to ask you. Was Voodoo Glow Skulls? Did they used to snakeboard, one of the guys in Voodoo Glow Skulls, or am I imagining this?
Yeah, I was friends with the band, the guys from Voodoo Glow Skulls, and the bass player George. I gave him a snakeboard back in the day, and he really enjoyed riding it. And whenever I'd go hang out with them or see them play, he would bring a snakeboard, and we would snakeboard together.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. It's not like one of those things in my mind, because I was a big fan of Voodoo Glow.
How did you hear about that?
Because I saw them in the UK when they played here, and I think I knew that, and went up to one of them and was like, yo, what have you guys snakeboard? Like, I like ride too. So yeah, just one of those.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, George, the bass player, he had a snakeboard and he did ride.
Cool.
I got him into it. And
cool.
Those guys were really, really cool guys.
Cool. Well, thank you, Kelly. This has been awesome. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
It's really good to get that.
Anytime, man.
Hopefully, see you back on the board at some point. That would be sick. And hit us up.
Well, we'll tell. So I have a question. Who is the main owners of the Dragon? Is it Brenton?
It's Brenton. Yeah.
Brenton Gunderson?
Yeah.
He's the main. Yeah, I thought
It's
so.
the missus, I reckon.
Yeah.
Brenton, I kind of figured, but I haven't really got to talk to him. That's cool that he's, you know, putting his time, effort, and money into keeping it going, and actually make some really cool board. That's awesome, man. And I hope that all works out for him.
Thank you.
I have some old ads that I was gonna post up in the old Streetboard Snakeboard section. You know, last month I posted my first 2-page spread or whatever. So, you know, I was going through my garage and I found, you know, a bunch of old ads and stuff, and my old signature wheel, the old Kelly Dean Shamrock wheel.
Those and the punks those wheels were incredible.
Right.
Where did you
that
guys
was one of the coolest things.
Have you got any of those? Have you got any of those at all?
I have maybe like 3 sets of Shamrocks, maybe 1 set of Pongs.
Dude.
Should I put a set up on us today? Should we do a giveaway with the Kelly Dean Shamrock?
That would be sick. Man.
You want to do a competition for a set of Shamrocks?
I think everyone wants them. Everyone goes.
I want them.
I'll see how many sets I have, and I'll donate one to the next competition or something.
That would be cool, man.
I don't know.
That would be
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if anyone would want them, but
yeah.
it would be cool to show some of the old stuff. To me, that was one of the coolest things, to have my own signature wheel back then. You know, I felt truly blessed to have that.
Oh, did you have much input into the design?
They were actually Pal Peralta wheels, Bones wheels. They had a couple shapes for me to choose from, and so I chose that shape. I wanted the wheel to be a little bit harder, but that's the hardest they could make it. You know, the 97A, which I thought was a little soft, but hey, man, I was just stoked they wanted to give me my own wheel. I didn't really make any money off it, but, you know, to have your name on anything, especially when you're a kid, was
cool, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been absolute pleasure. Any last words? Anything else you want to say, or you wanted to talk about?
Well, you know, I'm just really hyped that you guys are keeping the dream alive and actually making the dragon boards the way that I wanted to make so long ago. And it's a shame it's taking so long, and you know, but you guys are keeping the dream alive, and I just think that that's amazing. Cool. Thank you for doing that.
No,
thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
It's
Sam,
been an absolute pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking pleasure, man. Thank you for sort of capturing my imagination back in the day and making me want to jump down shit.
Yeah, you make me want to strap back in now. I think I'm gonna have to go strap back in after this and
send us some footage.
Give it a go.
You just do you, man. You just do you. Don't worry. Don't worry about those guys down at Venice Beach that are going to give you shit for strapping.
Yeah. We don't expect back sevens. We don't expect.
They just wait to see you strap in, man.
Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Right on, brothers.
All right.
That was awesome. Take care.
You take care, right?
And that's
Thanks, man.
Sweet. See, we out.
Peace, guys.
Safe.
Take care.
Streetboarding dreams, future and past. Here in the present, it's DRGNCAST.